Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Michael Kamo. I'm Director of Content for T3 Live, and I'm here with my good friend Sami Abusaad, who is going to share with us what the hell is going on in this market. Because as you can see, I am going gray because of all the craziness that is happening. So that's why we brought Sami in to help us figure out what's going on. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about gold. We're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about our wonderful disclosures, which are on the screen right now, just making sure everybody knows this is for entertainment and informational purposes only. So we're going to talk about whether gold and energy will keep leading. The religious ETFs like MSOS and URA are fallen stars, Apple and Tesla, which are making me very sad. I own both of them. Then, Sami's had some big winners like Disney, Robinood, and Yin, which is one of the China ETFs, his favorite names. And also later on, how you can join Sami's newest service. Sami, first of all, how are you doing today? How's the market treating you?
Doing very well, thank you. Market is good. I'm stocking a stock right now, so we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, Sami. So this is something people really need to know about Sami is that he actually trades while we're doing these live streams, which I find. So when you see him turning around and he's like typing while looking at the camera, he's actually like right there. Whenever you see Sami do this means he's actually trading, which is amazing because he's such a good interviewer. So Sami, do you want to bring up your charts because we need to talk about the big story this month, at least outside of the economic numbers, is let's start with gold because gold is leading the market in April. So the big question everybody has is, can gold keep on leading, or is it going to go back to the AI names like NVIDIA and AMD and all of those guys? So, Sami, what do you think of gold here?
So here's the thing. The time to think about doing gold is not when it's way up here. So it's late, but it still is bullish. It looked like we might come in yesterday after yesterday, the way we closed. But as you can see, we didn't take out yesterday's bar and continuing to be bullish. So gold is bullish. You look at the monthly, and this is just an incredibly bullish breakout. So gold is bullish. Now, is it the time to jump in? No, we've been talking. Mike and I have talked about gold for how many weeks in a row now, probably. So it's not the right time to jump in gold, but gold is extremely, extremely bullish.
Okay, so is this another one of those classic situations where we want to wait for a pullback to the 20?
Yes, or find the stocks that are not too extended. Like I put out a couple of them yesterday I talked about them. SSRM is one of them. That's not extended. Gold. I don't know what else I mentioned. Like AGI, I think is not too bad. Next week for 1, 2, 3. No, that's the monthly chart. So next week over this bar's high, stop under it. That's not too bad. So there are some gold names that are. I have a list in my spreadsheet of the gold names that are not too late to get in, but gold itself, the ETF, I think is really, really late.
Okay, all right. So somebody's asking about uranium stocks. We are definitely going to get to uranium soon. I'm a big uranium believer, which has been good and bad for me. So Sami, let's talk about energy first. So oil's been breaking out. We have geopolitical tension in the Middle East. So energy's been in a strong uptrend this year. It's probably XLE is probably the number 2 ETF. So we can go with USO. So Sami, what do you see with energy right now?
So here's the biggest problem. I can't emphasize this enough. The time to play energy long is not after 1, 2, 3, 4 months into resistance, and now we want to get in it long. No, the time to play it is when it pulls back on the pullback. So it pulled back. So 3, 4 months ago, sure, that was a good time to play it. I played HAL, and I just got trailed out of the back half yesterday. It's the same thing, the monthly buy setup. But I mean, there's better stuff out there. But I was able to catch the HAL on a climactic on that day at the bottom. Sold half at 38 and just sold half. Not today, but yesterday. Trailed me out at the back half. So the point is, this is the point: is that by the time it makes it to the news, like by the time everybody's talking about energy, it's already too late. It's already extremely late. I don't want to say too late because what if it keeps going? right? It may not be too late. What if something happens between Iran and Israel? So you never know. But the point is, before it makes it to the news, you need to be looking at the chart, looking for entries. And then USO had a buy setup that triggered this month, and that was February. So literally 2 months ago or more. But yeah, is it still bullish? It is. It's at resistance though. So I think if somehow Iran and Israel, nothing comes out of it or whatever, I think USO could actually come in a little bit.
Okay, all right. So Sammy's take sounds like it's almost a little bit similar to gold. These things need a break, even though they've been on. Okay, so let's start talking about. We're going to get religious here. We're not supposed to talk. The bosses at T3 told us they don't want us talking religion, but there are stock market religions. Gold is one of them. There are people that believe in gold no matter what. They like gold. If it's an inflationary environment, they like gold. If it's deflationary, they always find a reason to like gold. So we're going to talk about two other sectors that are sort of in the same category, which are first cannabis, and then we will get to uranium, Mr. Trump Core, in the comments over on YouTube. Now, Sami, I will count myself as a religious believer in uranium. I'm very bullish on nuclear power, and that's made me money in some stocks, and it's lost me money in others. So illuminate me. Help me out, Sami. What is going on in uranium?
Uranium looks good. So the way to analyze it is to look at multiple time frames at the same time. I don't know what the ETF is, but I have a list of the uranium stocks. Is there an ETF, Mike, that you know of for uranium?
Yeah, URA.
Oh, URA. Oh, got it. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, objectively speaking, is this bullish or bearish? Very, very bullish. The longer it bases, the better it becomes, believe it or not, because then the bigger the breakout if we actually base longer. But if we look at that's the monthly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly. Bullish. That's a daily buy setup, actually. And if we look at the individual uranium stocks, I mean, that's really bullish, though it's not the best pattern, I think. But it's bullish. If it closes like this, then next week over the base, stop under the green bars low. Next week, not this week. Then there's uranium. Similar is a buy setup. UEC is a buy setup, but this bar needs to close and then above it long. And then there is NXE. The NXE is the prettiest so far. I know it's not maybe the strongest, but this is the prettiest pattern. Let's just hope that the NXE actually does not keep going and it ends up printing a narrow range bar, ideally even a red bar. And if it does, then tomorrow I will play it long over today's high with a stop under yesterday's low. So as a buy setup. So the NXE I like. EU, it triggered already today, so that's too late for me for now. And then DNN is nice, but it's already close to the resistance. So my favorite for now for tomorrow would be the NXE. There's one more, which is let's take a look, which is the UEC, but I would go with the NXE. But they all look higher. So the overall message is that uranium is really, really bullish.
Okay, all right. Now let's move on to cannabis. With Tilray just blew up on earnings, but again, cannabis is one of those sectors where no matter what happens, there's a large crowd out there that believes it is going higher. So Sami, what is the story with the cannabis sector?
So cannabis, if we look at MSOS on the monthly chart, it's in the process of bottoming. I mean, this is the monthly time frame. As you can see, it's in the process of bottoming. I have literally seen things take 2 years before they eventually go. But whenever you see the 20 MA, this is the 20 period moving average, price under it, and then all of a sudden it starts to flatten out, and the 20 starts to point up, starts to curl up. I mean, that's like an incredible pattern. But how long will it take before it ends up totally going? I don't know. But it is in the process of bottoming. So I like it. Let's take a look at the MJ real quick. Same thing. So I like it. I would rather see the MSOS and MJ base for a bit longer. But overall bullish, but not at this moment. But just it's a bullish watch, so to speak, but not exactly right now because I see that the most recent breakout failed. So that's why. This is the stock that I'm stocking, by the way. It is the GL. Notice on the daily chart, that's the weekly. Here's the daily. is down a lot. If we look at the 5-minute, I think it might be worth. I already played it twice. The first time I made money on it. The second time it didn't work. And so over this bar's high, stop under it once the bar closes. So actually the bar is going to close in 15 seconds. So this is the 5-minute chart. It's a little bit difficult. I like the way the daily looks the most. I like the volume spike on it also on the 5. Might be worth a shot over 78.50 by 77.70 low of the day, which is 77.10. So I'm watching this one. It's hard, but I think it's worth a shot. Okay, so it would be over. Let me just double check. It would be over 78.50 by $77. So it's basically $1.50 stop on what? Oh, it's about to trigger. Jeez, it's.
Are we getting it live? We remember Sami called it. Sami's made a couple of very big trades live on these streams. One of them was Tesla a month or two ago. Yeah, so Sami, definitely keep us in the loop if this one. What was the level again? Where does it trigger?
78.50. Hasn't triggered yet. Came close.
Okay, everybody watch 78.50 on ticker GL. Okay, so Sami, let's talk about two of the stocks that are annoying me. I hate to make this whole thing about me today, but two of the stocks that are bothering me and bothering a lot of people are Apple and Tesla, which are sort of the two fallen angels out of the big tech magnificent seven, whatever you want to call them. What's going on with Apple and Tesla?
Do you want the good news or the bad news? First, I'll give you both.
Let's do the good news first, and then the bad news, and then the truth.
Okay. Okay, we'll start with the good news. The good news on Apple, I actually typed it into the room today as an idea. I didn't do it. I regret not doing it. As a long over this bar's high, which is 169.17, I think it was. No, 169.09. Stop under 167.10. So it's a $2 stop. And I think Apple might have actually bottomed. Why? Because I see a clean breakdown to new lows, and then the breakdown is getting bought. So actually, Apple might have bottomed. The reason why now the daily chart looks awful. It doesn't look good. It's in a downtrend. But if you look at the monthly, I mean, that doesn't look. Buy setups on the monthly don't come much better than this. So, and what's the best way to play a pattern to make sure that the stock bottomed is when you have a failure pattern. And what failure pattern do we have here? Is a breakdown failure. So it might have worked. Now, why did I not do it? Even though I typed it into the room as an idea, I typed it in over 169.20 just to give it a little bit more room to make sure people don't get tagged by a few cents. But the high was 169.09 by 167 basically. The reason why I didn't do it is because I already tried it 3 times, and every time I tried it, it would work, and then I would give it back. It would work, and I'd give it back 3 times. And so I don't like. It's like somebody slapping you on the cheek. How many times are you going to turn the other cheek? So that's the thing. It's just a matter of principle. You don't want to keep trying things that don't work. But I think it might have bottomed. Tesla, similar also. We had a breakdown. I don't think it took out the lows, but similar concept. Broke down on that news story that the Model 2 car, the budget car, was being killed. And then the same day, Elon tweeted they're going to show the car, the robotaxi, showcase it on August 8th. And so the stock gapped up, and that was on Monday basically. And now notice how it's trying to do a higher low. So Tesla also might have bottomed. So that's the good news. The good news is that Tesla and Apple might have bottomed. The bad news is that they looked like they were going to bottom before and failed. So they've been failing a lot. But again, I think we have a good shot at a bottom here. Tesla, if you're not in already, I would wait for the bar to close and play it over yesterday's high or today's high, whichever is higher. As of right now, it's yesterday's high. That's higher. As of right now, it's yesterday's high. But that's the good news. The bad news is that they looked like they bottomed before, only to fail. But hopefully this time they don't. Hopefully they work out.
Okay, let's talk about some of the the big winners from SST Sammy's newsletter this year. So I picked out three that are really interesting. Again, I sold Disney right before Sammy said it was a buy, and Disney's been a big winner for SST. So Sammy, could you take us through Disney and why that's worked so well?
Yeah, so the Disney we actually talked about it in one of these.
Yeah, it was right after I sold it. Like I sold it the next day, and Sammy's
Mike,
like, "It's a buy."
Mike, you're too hard on yourself. You also called uranium long a long time ago. So I make mistakes all the time as well. So can't catch them all, can't win them all. What can you do? But yeah, Disney. The idea behind Disney is at the time. So it's the same concept that I talked about a few minutes ago when it came to cannabis, how the stock was under the moving average. The moving average started to flatten out, and then it popped above it, right? So that was when I played Disney long. And then just a few days ago, we trailed half. So that's the idea behind it. But it's not just, like I'm explaining the technical side right now. But if you think about the fundamental side, the news part, at the time, Disney was being tweeted at 24/7 by Elon, attacking Disney. And Elon is a powerful guy, right? If you haven't heard. And was being attacked by DeSantis. And yet the stock appears to be bottoming. So the thought process behind it is that it's probably seen the bottom. The worst is over. And if you have a stock that's that has a lot of bad news and it's bottoming, I mean, that's like the best case scenario, honestly. If you have a stock that has a lot of good news and it's selling off, that's bad news. I mean, that's not good, because even the supposedly good news and the stock is dropping. This is the opposite. This is a stock that was, filled, there was bad news about it 24/7, and yet it was bottoming. So that was the idea behind it. Now, initially, the target was 120 is the target that I picked, which was the prior high right here, the 200 MA. I changed my mind and I said, I think it can get to 150 or so. So I trailed out of half not too long ago, like I think this week or so. If you look at the daily, just under this bar's low, out half. So that was last week, not this week. It's actually trying to do a buy setup, but I wouldn't do it here because it's a bit of a deep pullback. If you look at the weekly and the monthly, it's already into resistance. So it looks like, by the way, that GL didn't trigger, but I don't think I should cancel the order. Actually, I'm gonna leave it in on the GL. So it's not a good idea to be getting in it here, but I hope it continues higher. I still have half. So that's the Disney. Again, when you have a stock that's being hammered and yet by bad news, and yet it's bottoming, that's actually the time to buy it. Okay. Was there something else that you want me to talk about?
Yeah. So I actually want to switch gears a little bit. So so we know Sammy as following the pristine method, yet you're saying you're paying attention to the news.
The psychology. It's the psychology. I'm not even paying attention to the news. I just happen to notice that everybody's hating on Disney, Elon Musk, DeSantis, everybody's hating on Disney, this woke company, right? And yet it's bottoming. So you cannot help but notice it. So it's not that I was tuning into the news, reading the news about Disney, but I noticed that everybody's hating on Disney, and yet Disney is bottoming. So that's all. But yes, I don't necessarily recommend really trading on news. It's just, I don't recommend it because it's going to make you biased. Let the chart be your guide. If Disney didn't look good, I wouldn't have played it even if it had the best news in the world. You see what I mean? So that's my point, Mike. But please go ahead.
I know. I'm trying to catch you. I love to bust traders. So yeah, next one is Robinhood, which I think has been the biggest winner or one of the biggest winners in SST this year.
Yeah. So Robinhood was doing a weekly buy set. There's the weekly chart. You see the weekly buy setup. So maybe people are talking about Robinhood here. I'm not talking about Robinhood here. In fact, we trailed out of half yesterday. Robinhood. this is when to get it, is on that pullback to the rising 20. Now, Robinhood, the same idea as like the cannabis stocks, as everything else on the monthly. Notice how it was downtrending. The 20 MA, it's a new stock, so there's not a lot of history, just a couple of years. And so notice how the 20 is now underpriced, and now time to look to play it long. So I caught that weekly buy setup, and then it went up and up and up and up. And then yesterday or the day before, I raised the stock to under the base here, and it trailed out of half yesterday. So now we'll probably raise the back half once we get a pivot and raise it to here. But it looks good long term. Robinhood looks good long term. Probably cancel the play on that GL. Hasn't triggered. It's not. I don't know if it's going to trigger. The longer stock base is at the bottom when it's in a downtrend, when it's climactic. If it starts to base at the bottom, the more likely it is to continue lower. So it didn't take out 85.50, 78.50. So no play, okay, on the GL. So that's the idea behind Robinhood. And if you look on the daily chart, it's basically the entry was right here, was a weekly buy setup. It basically doubled, $11 or so to over 20. But we trailed out of half here yesterday. So nice play, really, really nice play. Just the back half, just the back half is up $4,800, $4,828. So, really nice play.
Okay, and the final one is Yin, YINN. And for anybody out there, this is a 3x bullish China ETF, and China's been doing great. So tell us a little bit about this one, Sami.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it. Again, everybody thinks China's economy is tanking, and it may be. I don't know, maybe it is. But look at the FXI. This is the base ETF, right? Look what it did. So this is the daily chart. Notice the double bottom, right? Down a lot, and then into an area where it rallied from. The yen it tripled, but I don't know what the FXI did. It went from $20-some, 21 to where to over a 50% rally, right? And so down a lot, accelerates kind of into the prior low. That's the daily. That's the weekly, right? So I just want to zoom out to see the whole picture. Look at it. Into the all-time low also, triple bottom, right? So that's the weekly. And here's the monthly. And now I'm zoomed out way too much. So here's the monthly. It's basically down a lot, accelerates into the prior low. That's a good area to play it long. Now, if you look at the daily, what people don't notice is that we actually have higher highs, higher lows, higher high. This is the first higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. We're putting in a higher low, and the same higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. I can't say it all that many times. And then on the weekly chart, we got to the 20 on the weekly, and we got a sell setup, and the sell setup appears to be failing. So it's not that I'm in love with the yen. I have an open position in the yen, and I have it also, in the newsletter. We've been in it for like over a month, probably, like since here somewhere. So that's like 2 months. I can check, but about 2 months. It's not that this is the most bullish thing out there, but it's a good idea to get into stocks, or in this case, it's an ETF, right when you think they bottomed, not when they make it to the news. When everybody starts to talk about it, I'm going to be looking to sell. But it's a good idea to look to catch stocks as they're bottoming or shortly after they bottomed. I'm not saying I got it at the bottom, but I got it on the transition. So so that's what I think. The China stocks look good, and it's not just the yen. We're in the TME for 2 months now or more. TME has been doing. Look at the weekly, just up and up and up. I have the QFIN also. I can look at my account. I have the QFIN, the TME. I have the YMM, which is also an open position in the newsletter on the buy setup, and then added to it over here. This was also called, because it was under $10 in price, I called it also in the $10 swing trader, but because it's under $10 in price. So, I have a few of those China stocks that I think look good. BZ, but BZ is down today. Also in it. So I have a bunch of China stocks that I think look even better than the yen. But I also have the yen. So we'll see.
Okay, all right, guys. So we want to invite you to join Sammy's new service. Sammy has to get back to trading soon. If you want to join Sammy's new service, $10 swing trader, you can go to t3live.com/S10. The link is also in the video description. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, the link is in the description. If you're watching on Twitter, the link is on the tweet. If you're watching on StreamYard, the link is right on the screen. And you get Sammy's best swing trade ideas where stocks are trading under $10. So if you like fast moving stocks and you have an appetite for risk, these are not the lowest risk trades. You will love this. You get 3 to 5 ideas every week with entry, stops, targets. It's $79 for the entire year. And as a bonus, you get the opening rush course, which is about teaching you how to trade opening gaps. So it's a $374 total value. It's $79 for you if you go to t3live.com/S10, t3live.com/S10. The link is also in the video description. Sammy, thank you for another amazing half hour of insights, and we hope you will join us again next week.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Sammy. And guys, again, we'll be back here next week, next Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, if you want to join Sammy's newsletter, you get the whole year for $79. Go to t3live.com/S10. The link is in the description, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.